Hi there, I'm Linda and this is Huttons Valley Permaculture. Growing your own food forest is amazing and it needn't be expensive. In today's video we're going to have a look around my kitchen garden and also the swale food forest at all the plants I've managed to put in for free. I'll be discussing how I've gone about that and how you too can get your own plants for your food forest easily and cheaply, and if you're really keen, maybe you can get it all for free. I'm standing in my kitchen garden here because it's the first little food forest that I put in, and it began with my citrus trees. They were both gifted to me as housewarming presents. If you've got a birthday coming up, Christmas coming up, housewarming, any time that someone's going to be gifting you things, ask for some plants. Some of these trees that you can't really grow well from cuttings or from seed are really valuable and much better than, you know, a box of chocolates or something. So if you can convince people to give you beautiful trees like this, that's a great way to start out in a food forest. And just looking around me here, this is my boysenberry. It is winter, so it's not looking its best, but those vines were gifted to me from a neighbour. This plant here, my lemon myrtle, was also a bit of a housewarming gift from a friend. This woody dormant plant here is a gooseberry that I got from cuttings from a friend's plant. And I did the same to get this rosemary plant, which grows very readily from cuttings. Another plant that was gifted to me is this blueberry bush, which I don't know the variety, and I am trying to propagate some of that so I can get some more plants. I'm in amongst my herbs now. The rosemary we've already seen. The pineapple sage is a beautiful plant that you can get from friends if you're lucky. You can propagate it. It does do stool layering, which means any vines that are along the ground and in contact with it or even partly buried will send down little roots, and you can get beautiful new plants from that. So if you're lucky to have a friend, you might be able to get some of that for free. Oregano is another plant that's easily just dug up. Right here, it sort of spreads around, and if you pull that up, you can see all the fine roots that are on there, and if you sort of plant that into a little pot, that's another plant there, or you can get a couple of plants, but the more you can dig up, the quicker your plant will grow large. This plant here is yarrow. Now I got that for free from some friends, and that too can just be easily dug up, pulled out of the ground. If you pot that up, that is a new yarrow plant, so it's not hard to get some more of these little plants going. And right here is lemon balm. It's another plant that you can just grow from cuttings, that you can, you know, if you broke that off, put that into water, very soon this would send out roots and you could pot that up. Or, again, like the oregano, it does sort of grow along the ground, and if you can pull up a piece with some roots, it's easy to pot up and spread around your garden. To be able to get these plants for free in the first place, probably the best way to do it is by joining a gardening group, a permaculture group. Often they do lots of swaps. Everybody's happy to share, you know, little bits of plants to get someone started. So that's what I would really recommend. Join those groups and be with like-minded people who can teach you a few things, but they can also share their abundance. And by joining one of those groups, you're likely to be able to pick up seeds for California poppy, or the Swiss chard, that's some more flat leaf parsley. And once you get these plants growing and leaving them to seed, you too can be able to spread seeds around your food forests or share with other members of your community. And food forests needn't be all about the food. Sometimes having lovely flowering plants can bring in birds and pollinators and just make the garden much more enjoyable. Just here I've got two plants. This is a Pacific iris, which is a beautiful flower, and that was originally gifted to me by a friend, and I've spread that into a number of places just there. And this is an echium, and I just grabbed two of these stalks I grabbed two just like that from a friend and put that into some water, and before long that was rooting, and I've got two of these beautiful plants that are filling in my food forest beautifully. Now if they get too large for the space here, you can just break those off and use that as a mulch around the base. Just here is where I planted my first rhubarb plant, which was gifted to me by a friend who split their plant. And what I've done to get this row of rhubarb and all the rhubarb out in my swale food forests is just split the plant and spread them around. I do have a video where a few years ago where I split this plant and got, I think, about 14 different plants, although I probably could have got more from that. This plant here is getting pretty dense in there, and they actually really benefit from being split, and you'll find the stalks will grow a lot thicker if you kind of thin the plants out. So I'll be doing that, and I'll be potting up the crowns and putting some at my little honey stand to sell, but I can also spread those around the food forests or just give some away. Now, other plants that I've got here at the edge of my kitchen garden are comfrey, which a friend gifted me some comfrey roots, and those plants grow very readily from roots, and you can spread those around everywhere, and I've used that to line my veggie garden, and I've put them out in my swale food forests, although they are a bit slow getting going out there with all the grasses, but they are slowly getting there. Also here are my strawberries. When I first put in this kitchen garden, the strawberries was one of the first plants to go in. A friend from work was thinning out her garden and gave me 50 runners, which really filled in this space. And now I've got thousands of these little plants that I can pot up to sell, gift, or spread around my food forests. Calendula is a wonderful flowering plant that's easily grown from seed, and it seeds so abundantly. You can see some just on that plant there. And in these gardening groups or the permaculture groups, everybody's got some sort of seeds like this to share. So I do really encourage you to join a local group so you can enjoy in the abundance of plants such as this beautiful calendula. Just here under my apple tree, that's just some young plants that haven't kicked into flowering yet. Now let's take a look at my swale food forests. This is one of the many rosemaries that I've got growing up on the swale food forest, and all I did was take cuttings from my original plant, root those and then spread them around. Now, not all the plants take all the time, but if you have lots in reserve, then you can replace them out and you'll get them growing at some point, nice and big like this one here. Also here is some of the comfrey that I've spread around. Now this little plant here is a native violet, which I just dug up from my neighbour's nature strip, and I put that in a couple of places, and that's starting to grow beautifully just here. Now right at the end of the top swale, I've got a raspberry patch with canes that I got from a friend. She was clearing out her raspberry patch and thinning it down, and so I was able to get all of these plants here. And this one here is a prickly red currant, which is a native plant, and I was gifted a whole tray of native plants that really needed to get planted out. Now it was from a local land care group that just had way too many to deal with. So I was very lucky to be able to get that plant for nothing. This is one of my apricot trees. Now, while I did buy my apricot trees, they are something that you could grow from seed. Stone fruits do grow fairly true to the parent plant, unlike, say, apple trees or pears, which you just don't know what you're going to get. These ones will grow a fairly decent apricot that's similar to the parent. So it's well worth, if you don't have the money to buy a tree yourself, just starting to grow from seeds, and you'll get lots of trees that way. You just might have to put in a little bit of extra time to get them. One of my favourite trees in the food forest isn't actually a productive tree, but it's this Tagesasti. Now, it is a pioneer tree that grows very quickly and is able to produce lots of biomass. Now, it also produces beautiful flowers in winter for my bees. And because it produces lots of flowers, it does also produce lots of seeds. Now, in some areas, it's considered an invasive tree and a bit of a problem, but it's not a problem here. I've only ever had one tree grow from seed from one of the trees here, so it's certainly not taking over yet. But it does produce all these seeds that you can grow more trees from. So to get started here, I got some seeds from trees that are in my local town, and was able to grow all of these trees very easily and very cheaply. This tree is a hakea tree. Now, I did spread some mulch around from a hakea tree that's in my front garden, and I found lots of seedlings starting to grow from seeds that were dropped there. So I managed to be able to dig those up, and I've spread these around the food forest just as support trees. Also free right here are these blackcurrant plants. I do have a blackcurrant that I bought that's in my kitchen garden, and I took cuttings and propagated these plants from that. So, you know, in those gardening groups, you could get them for free. I have actually taken free plants to those groups to give to other people. So you can certainly do all of this on the cheap or for free. Now these are just some rhubarb plants from the original plants from my kitchen garden. And then we move along to my peach trees. So like the apricot, you can grow these trees from seed. What I have done is collected lots of my plum seeds and the peach seeds and the nectarine, and I've grown some new trees for them that are just tiny little trees at the moment, but I will be planting them out fairly soon, and I'll be able to check and see what that fruit is like. So once again, if you know some friends with fruit trees, or you can get organic fruit from your store, save the kernels and you might have a beautiful tree like this one day. Moving along, I've got a tagasasti grown from seed, a hakea grown from drop seeds, another tagasasti. This tree here, which I recently chopped and used for mulch, is a volunteer acacia. It's a black wattle. I have dug up little seedlings of trees like this when I've seen them, but they've really got to be small. They have a really long taproot, which is what they need to get through the damaged soil that they usually grow in. So you've got to get them really early so that you don't damage that taproot. Now, I have spread them around. Not all of them take, sort of maybe 10-20%. So not a lot, but enough to get some trees growing in areas where I needed them. Just here, and you can see sort of over the back there are some gooseberry plants that I grew from cuttings. And the plants just here, there's 6 plants. They're red currants. Now again, I did buy the red currant that's in the kitchen garden, but I have grown lots of plants since, which again I've gifted through my permaculture group, and I've been able to spread it a number of places in my swale. Something I also plant out in my swales are Jerusalem artichokes. Now, I originally got a small tuber from a friend, got that growing, and then the next year dug that up and spread lots of these plants around. Now, if I just pull that out, you can see that's a Jerusalem artichoke. Now, you'd be able to eat that, or you can take that and that will grow new plants somewhere else. So, relying on the old friends again, if you know someone with Jerusalem artichokes, they've got more than enough of these and should happily share that with you. You can see down there just how many these plants produce, and it just keeps going. My ducks actually enjoy eating those. Just over the other side there, you can see another plant that I propagate, and you can spread that around for free, and that is an elderberry. The elderberries produce these beautiful little flowers and look amazing in your garden or out in your swale food forest. And I've got heaps of these. Although when I did buy the original plant and didn't realise it wasn't a variety that produced the berries. So Find someone who's growing these plants with berries and you'll be able to propagate them really easily from those. These plants here are globe artichokes, and the plants have come from my front garden. I did grow some from seed. I think I did buy the seeds, but again, if you can get some for free, then you can grow them and then spread them around. These ones were just separated from the plants there, so I didn't grow these ones from seed, but just splitting plants. A bit like the rhubarb, you can just sort of split the crowns and spread them around, although I think they're called pups. And this tree here is a fig tree that I was gifted from a friend who propagated it from their very productive fig tree that they have at home. And just around us, Tagasasti from seed, Hakea from seed, Tagasasti from seed. I do have a number of different acacias, and I did buy a lot as dollar tubes from a native plant nursery. But again, this sort of tree, if you look around your local environment, you might be able to find the seeds and grow them from seed, or you might be able to just dig them up, but you want to find really tiny plants to be successfully transferred. This is one of my hazelnut trees. I've got 4 large hazelnuts at the moment, but I do have some small ones in as well. You find as the years go on and they get productive, you don't get all the hazelnuts that drop to the ground. And I've found that they do grow from seeds. So be on the lookout under hazelnut trees and you might come across a small tree. I was also gifted a small tree a few years back. So you might have friends who've got trees like this that are happy to share. The olive trees I did buy, but I believe you can grow them from cuttings. And some people grow them from the seeds as well. I haven't had any success, but who knows, challenge yourself and give it a go and you might get some free trees out of it. Down on my bottom swale now, I've got more elderberries that I've used as protection for my macadamia trees, as well as all these Tagasasti that I've grown from seed, and plenty of volunteer acacias as well. Just here are a few small rhubarb plants that I only just moved in here last year, next to an apple tree that's dormant at the moment. And this one here, it's hard to pick out, is a currant plant, Jerusalem artichokes, that I've just sort of buried those little tubers, and they produce beautiful flowers in autumn. So most of the support trees on this swale have been grown from seed. Maybe some plants like this were just the cheap tube stock from the local nursery. And there's an apple tree hiding in there. Now it was down in this area here that I actually had transplanted some of these volunteer trees. They had been growing along my swale and I dug them up and moved them to this location here. Not all of them took, but as you can see, there's plenty in here, and certainly enough that I can chop these trees and use a lot of that biomass for building my soil. And now we're heading into my third swale, food forest, which is my roadside swale, where again I've got these elderberries because they just grow so quickly and easily from those cuttings. And just around the elderberry you can see there's some more rhubarb. These ones are red currants that I've propagated and put in place here. This tree is a really abundant plum tree. In summer it's just loaded with beautiful fruit, and I've collected all the kernels and I'm going to see if I can grow some more of this beautiful tree so I can gift it to friends or sell it at my little roadside stand. Just on the lower side of the swale I've got some more of the little plants that that land care group had given me. This one is a prickly red currant. I don't always know what these native plants are, but this one seems to be quite happy in this position. It's really taken off. Another free prickly red currant. This little plant's Not so sure about it, and I'm not sure that that one will survive, but 5 out of the 6 are doing quite nicely. Other little plants that I've spread around my swale food forest are some more calendula, and this one's a yacon. I did have a video on yacon where I dug up the tubers and then split the plants and spread them around several spots in my food forest. These are more black currants that have been slow getting going out here. I think the soil's not as sort of favourable to them here as in my kitchen garden, but with time they are slowly starting to get used to the conditions out here, and I think this next season they're really going to take off. This is one of my earlier planting of Tagersasti. They really do get quite large the more years they grow. Acacia. Now this one here was a free fig that I found in a pot down the end of the road. And while it hasn't produced any fruit as yet, I'm looking at it more as a biomass producer to use for mulch. This fig here is a heartleaf fig, and it produces delicious little figs. You can still see these tiny little ones here. But I did buy this one. So if you have a birthday coming up or any reason for people to give you a gift, certainly add this one to your wish list. This little plant here is a feijoa or pineapple guava. Now I did buy this plant, but I bought it with funds that were gifted to me. I have a donate page on PayPal. If you want to help me diversify my food forest, you can by making a donation there. Sue from Alabama is a very generous supporter of my channel, and with some of her funds I can buy new plants such as this feijoa. So that's a quick look around my food forest, and as you can see there's plenty of plants that I've been gifted, grown from seed, cuttings or propagated that helped fill in the food forest. Now you'd have to be really keen to be able to do it all for free, but I don't think it's impossible. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Thanks so much for watching, and bye for now. Here are various mint plants that I've dug up. They don't look great because it's winter here at the moment, but come spring they will be popping into life. Now something you can do is just check out the area of your nursery that's throwing out plants. With this peppermint plant, I actually bought it and it looked like that, and I split it into 6 plants, and I was able to get all these plants from that one plant. So down the track I'll be able to split those again. And these are just aloe vera that I'm hoping to develop root systems on, and then I'll split them into their individual plants.